Hakadosh Boker Or Masechet Bava Metzia Daf Kuf Tetvav Amud Aleph 115a1. We're just going to start Kuf Yudaled Amud Bet 114b. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, which is 4 lines up. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Nishkeno. If right now we're talking about that the Malve comes and he has a collateral, and he gives the collateral back to the Love when he needed it, just like what was the halacha, Umet, and then the Love, the borrower, dies when it's in his possession. So Shomto Me'al Gabe Banav, he could take it away from the children. Meaning, one more time, he took a collateral for a loan. Now the halacha states that if he needs it to sleep for it, to this, you have to give it back to him. So he gave it back to him. Now the guy dies. So therefore he could take it away from the children. But technically speaking, he was supposed to have it. The only reason why I gave it back is just because halacha commanded you to do it. Meitvei, so the Gemara is going to ask him this. It says, if you took it as a collateral, why do you give it back? So says the Gemara, Lama machzirim, why do you give it back? The Torah says you have to give it back. What does that mean? The Torah says, let's say he only has one clothing, that's his pajamas. You have to give it back. What do you mean? It's a Torah that tells you that. It's not just stam. So, but rather, the fact that you give it back, so why do you take it back? So says the Gemara, Shelot Shevi'it, Kuf Tetvav Amud Aleph on the top, Shelot, right, 115a on the top, Shelot Shevi'it Mishamato, right? He says, in order that Shevi'it should not cut off the loan, so therefore it's not going to be a metaltalin, right, by his children. Right, therefore it's kedai for the malve to take it back every single time that he can, in order that if the guy dies, right, he could still come and sell it as selling, as as using off for the paying off of the collateral. Okay, so now he says, Tama, the reasoning is because he took it back again. Hello, but let's say he didn't take it back. Obviously not. What does that mean? If the guy dies and now he's not taking it back, so if he can't use it anymore, he can't come and start, selling it and trying to pay off the loans. That's what creditors try to do. They try to grab as much as they can, whatever the guy has, and then they sell it, and then at least they make back some of their money, right, that they lost. So Amar Ravada Bar Matra says Ravada Bar Matra, Velav Tarutze Kamatar Tzala. This is what you didn't already answer it. Taritzach, you already answered. If you have to give it back anyway, why do you take it from the beginning? Meaning like this, the guy only has one clothing, so it's his pajamas. Now you already know that every single night you have to give it back. So why in the world are you going to take it? Why do you take it if you already know that from the beginning when you're taking it, every single night you have to give it back? So says the Gemara, he says, no, the reason why is that it shouldn't be that Shavit is going to cut it off, and that it's not going to be considered metaltalin by his children, which means that if it comes to his hands, he acquires it. And therefore, when he gives it back, it's considered kilu that he's giving a pikadon. So therefore, even after he comes and he gives it back to the loveh, the Shavit does not cut it off. And therefore, if the loveh dies, right, the malveh could still come and take it away. Right? Why? Because it's like this. It's like the metaltalin. So, Tanurabanam, we are going to learn in a braita, lo tavo el beto lavot loto. So you're not allowed to come to his house. What does it mean el beto? It doesn't say el bait. It says el beito, to his house. Leveito, you can go into his house, but you couldn't go into the house of the arev, of the guarantor, to take a mashkon. I mean, you cannot go into the guy's house to take but you could take a mashkon, you could take a collateral from the guarantor's house. And that's what it says in the pasuk, right? What does that mean? You have to take the beged of the arev because he's an arev for each zar. And it says, Beni, my son, if you obligated yourself as an arev to your friend, takata lazar kapecha. So therefore, right, you have to actually come, and you were paying back, as it says, for a person. No kashta bimreficha, right, which means, right, if it's going to be that you took, right, you were taken as for your words. Nilkata bimreficha, you were caught for your words. Aseh zot, you have to do this to save yourself. Kibata bechap lecha lech yitrapes urhav recha. He says, so therefore, because you came into the hand of your palm of your hand of your friends, so you have to go and you have to do it for your friend. What does that mean? If you have money, which means open up, as if to say, open up to pay for it. And if not, right, ask a lot of mechila from him. Right, in order to ask for a mechila. Letzad sheni, Says the Gemara, though, on the other hand, what does that mean? He comes and he says, right, Leveito iyata nichnas. אבל אתה נכנס לשכר כתף, לשכר חמל, לשכר פונדק, לשכר דיוקנות. What does that mean? You can't go to his house in order to take a collateral, right, for the chovot of other people which are not in the pasuk. For example, schar kataf, chamar, pundak, or yoknot, right, which is basically the, your shoulder work, or of the donkey, or the pundak of an inn, of a like a hotel, motel, right, or for different, all these things you could. So yachol afilu zakfan alav b'milva. I would have thought to say that even if it's going to be a milva, you could do so. So he says, Samulomar, mashat meuma. What is mashat meuma? Mashat here is coming to include anything that you're lending. So for even a chov at the beginning that was not on a halva'ah, right, you cannot come and you cannot do. Says the Mishnah, Kuftetvav Amud Aleph. Says the Mishnah, Almana, ben she aniya, ben she ashira, mashkinuta. An almana, a widow, doesn't matter whether she's rich or poor, you're never going to take a mashkon from her. Shneimar v'lo tachbol beged almana. You're not going to take it. And it doesn't make a differentiation between them. Okay? Now, there's a whole thing here, exactly what. It says over here, the huadin and the isud is also by grusha, not only just an almana, but some people say that it's only an almana because she's always afraid and she's always worrying. Again, it's not that simple. Fine. So, it says over here like this. We learned in a Braita. Doesn't matter whether she's rich or poor, you don't take a mashkon from her. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon argues and he says, no, ashira mashkinuta. You do take it away from an aniya, from an ashira. Aniya, you don't do it. But you have to give it back. Imagine every single night you have to go to her house to give her back her things. So everyone starts saying, this guy is visiting a lot. You understand? It's putting a bad name on her, bad reputation. Her. Exactly. So that's why he's saying, that's why for sure he comes and he says, right? No, it does have to do because only a poor person you have to give back the mashkon. If it's rich, you could keep it. She's got 20 clothing. She's rich. So therefore you don't have to come every single, but if it's poor, so that's what he says. That's the difference between poor and rich. Okay, lememra, you're going to tell me now that Rabbi Yehuda lo dari shama dekra. That Rabbi Yehuda is not going to be doresh the reasoning of the pasuk. Rabbi Shimon is dari shama dekra. We always learn the opposite. The time we learned in a Braita, the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, "Velo yabilo nashim." We know that a king cannot have too many wives. How many is too many wives, by the way? What? How many is too many wives here? He can't have too many wives. More than? Yeah. 18. No, it's 18. 18. A person shouldn't have more than 18 wives if he's a king, yeah? So it says, Rabbi Yehuda says, Marbehu, you could. As long as they don't take away his heart from Hashem. Rabbi Shimon says, even one, and she takes off from the heart, okay, don't get married to her. So if so, what does it teach you then? Not even like Avigail. Avigail was a big tzadeket. Now, it's very interesting why Dafka is taking Avigail, but okay, obviously, since I guess we're talking about David Melech or like a king, so he took, Avigail. Okay, fine. So he says, so it's mashma from this Mishnah, right, that according to Rabbi Yehuda, he's Doresh Tama Dikra, because it's basically that the only reason why it's a sur is that way that she doesn't take you off your heart from Hashem. And Rabbi Shimon is not Doresh Tama Dikra, and therefore he says that it's going to be prohibited, right, in any case, even if it's going to be a woman that she's Kshera. So it's the exact opposite from our Mishnah. So says the Gemara, Leolam, really Be'emet Rabbi Yehuda is not Doresh Tama Dikra. He doesn't come and start looking at the reasoning for the psukim. The Shanehacha, but it's different over here to do the Melech, that he says, the Mefaresh Krab, as the Pasuk says, what's the reasoning? Meaning, since the Pasuk gave you the reason, you are Mefaresh Tama Dikra. Meaning like this, if right now the Torah did not say explicitly the reason, but the Torah just tells you, so now you're going to come and you're going to say, you know what, are you Doresh a reason? But if the Torah itself gave you the reason, there's nothing what to do. Here it said, don't have too many wives, in order that they shouldn't take away from your heart. Rabbi Shimon, and according to Rabbi Shimon, usually he does Doresh Tama Dikra. So Lichtov Rachmana, the Torah should have said, Lo Yarbelo Nashim, and you don't know that, right? And we don't need Velo Yasud. And we already know why. So he says, but rather, Lo Yasud de Katav Rachman, why do we need it? Shafilu Achat Mesira Libor, because even if it's one wife and she's taking you off from Hashem, don't get married to her. Meaning, don't come and tell me, right? Because again, if according to him, the entire reasoning is that we are Doresh, the reasoning of the Pasuk, you didn't need Velo Yasud. Because even without Velo Yasud, you already know, don't have too many wives, but they're going to take you away from Hashem. So he says, no, the chidush is that even if you have one and she's going to take away from Hashem, don't do it. Don't. Second Mishnah on the page. Yeah, on the bottom of Kuftet Vav Mud Aleph, 115a on the bottom. Somebody's going to take a mashkon, the rechaim, which is like a mill. He's going to be transgressed the lo ta'aseh. Right? He says over here, right, that v'chayav mishum shnei kelim, and he's going to be chayav because of two kelim. It says lo yechvol rechaim v'racham, which means that for every single rechaim, there's two different things. There's the bottom part, which is the rechaim, and the rechev, which is the top part. Meaning the mill is made out of two different items, and therefore he's going to be over on two different averot, because it says that you should not take away the windmill. The concept is that if that's his parnasah, and that's where he makes his parnasah by grinding it, so how are you taking that away from him? Kilu, so he should pay you back. Well, you just closed off the door on him. You understand? So what's going to help him? Anything which you can make money off of it, which means that it does not make sense. How are you going to come and you're going to take away from his parnasah? And he said, you can't do that. So fine. Says the Gemara, Amar Ravuna. Ravuna says, Chaval rechaim lokesh taim. If somebody's going to be mashken, the bottom even, right? He's going to get 2 lashes. One because of rechaim and one because of kinefesh uchovel. Rechaim v'rachav, he takes both of them, which is the top part and the bottom part, he's going to get 3 sets of lashes. One because of rechaim, one because of rachav, and one because of kinefesh uchovel. So it's 3 different times. Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, Chaval rechaim lokeh once, rechev is going to be once, rechaim v'rechev twice. Right? He says why? He says kinefesh uchovel lishar dvarim udata. Because when it says in the pasuk kinefesh uchovel, which means that he's hitting the nefesh, that is for other things, which is ochel nefesh, not rechev rechaim. So one more time, the first shita is according to Ravuna that rechaim, right, which is the chaval rechaim is 2, okay, one because of rechaim and one because of nefesh uchovel. When it says rechaim v'rechev, it's going to be 3, one for the rechaim, one for the rechev, and one for nefesh uchovel. Says of Yehuda, he says no. The rechev and the rechaim is all one each. Nefesh uchovel is for other things. There's nothing to do with the rechaim and all those things. Okay? 115b. So says the Gemara, Lema by Rava b'pruta d'Ravuna Rabbi Yehuda kami palgeh. Why don't we just say that the machlok between Abai and Rava is going to be the machlok between Ravuna and Rabbi Yehuda? The Amar Rava, because Rava comes and he says, Achal na, if you're going to eat from the basar of the Pesach, now when it's going to be tsalui, meaning that it's going to be a little bit roasted, lokesh time, you're going to be a lokeh twice. Mishum lo tochle mimenu na, umishum kim tzliesh, right? Which means that it has to be, it says that you're not allowed to eat it now, and it has to be roasted. Now, if you're going to come and you're going to do it mevushal, yeah? He says if you're going to do mevushal, you're going to get twice. Mishum mevushal, mishum kim tzliesh. Na mevushal, if it's going to be na and mevushal, meaning part of it is going to be na and part of it is going to be mushal, you're going to get 3. One because of na, one because of mevushal, and one because of lo tochlenu kim tzliesh. You could only eat it roasted. Okay? So he says, Abaya, that means basically you're going to have 3 of them. One more time. If you're eating it cooked, you get an avirah. If you eat it na, you're going to get an avirah. And if you're not eating it tzliesh, you're getting an avirah. So it has to be mamash roasted in the fire. So Abaya argues and he says, no. You don't get a lashes on the kim tzliesh. Because kim tzliesh is like a lav, which comes from a klal, which means it's telling you how you're supposed to be eating it. So if you could get the avirah on na and mevushal, which means cooked, and a little bit, but you can't get it on that you didn't eat it roasted, because that's a lav shebeklalut. That's a general rule how you're supposed to eat it. That's not that you're not allowed to eat it cooked. You're not allowed to eat it lightly roasted. You understand, like a seared. I don't know how you call it. Yeah. So says the Gemara, Lema Baya Dama Kabuda. So why don't we just say the Baya holds like Kabuda, and therefore, right? And Rava holds like Ravuna, which means like this. One more time, when we go back to the case of the Rechaim, what do we say? So there were 3 averot. There was the Rechaim, the Racham, and then there was Nefesh Uchovel. So one Mandamer said you get always 2, because on each piece of the machinery you get 1 plus Nefesh Uchovel. And if you took both pieces, you only have 1 averah of Nefesh Uchovel and 1 of the each pieces. The other rabbi, which was Rav Yehuda, comes and he says, no, you only get 2 averot. You never get 3. Because Nefesh Uchovel is for other things, nothing to do with it. So why don't we just say then that Abaya holds like a Yehuda? that it's a lav shebeklalut, which means that you can't come and obligate him. And according to, and Rava holds like Rav Huna. So Rava is going to tell you, Anadar, I could also say like Rav Yehuda. Why? I cannot come Rav Yehuda. The one that Rav Yehuda say it over there to do the Rechaim Racham. Ela ki nefesh uchovel lo mashma, because nefesh uchovel has nothing to do with the Rechaim Racham. Meaning it just means that you're hitting a nefesh. It has nothing to do with the Rechaim Racham. Therefore, it's coming for something else. Aval hacha, but for us, when it says kim tzli esh, what's it coming to teach you? Shma mina, it's a love. It's an meaning when in the pasuk, when it tells you al tochlu menu now vushal b'mayim kim tzli esh, it's all in the same pasuk, and it's mashma. Don't eat it. Don't eat it raw, like you remember the raw part. Don't eat it cooked in water, but only roasted in a fire. So when it comes to teach you like that, it's 100% has to do with what we spoke about beforehand. When I just come in and tell you, don't take away Rechaim Berachav, the mill. Ki nefesh uchovel, you're coming and you're hitting a nefesh. Ki nefesh, nothing to do with the mill. It just has to do with anything of parnasah. Here though, it's mashma. This is the only way. So it's a negative commandment. Abai is going to tell you. Anadam I can tell you even according to Ravuna. Right? Yiterahu. It's extra. Given the yiterahu, since it's extra, shadia rechaim, meaning the words kinefesh uchovel, I already know. Because if you're taking away the mill used to be, that's his parnasah, his source of parnasah. So I already know that. So why do I need this pasuk? This pasuk, these words are extra. So if it's extra, I'm going to throw it on rechaim beracha. Aval hacha, but over here, kim tziliesh, it's not extra. Because we need it. When you have the kumechol tzli, meaning that even though you have it, a person is commanded to eat it tzli roasted, he has the avirah, he's not allowed to eat it when it's not. So when it's not going to be tzli, so it's not, meaning that it's either raw or roasted or raw. It can never be both. Because remember, we're not talking about cooked. We're talking about na means that it's a little bit cooked, right? Lightly cooked. Not cooked, sorry, lightly roasted. Okay? That's what it says over here. Na means salui b'miktzat, a little bit. So therefore, you have to have it in order to tell you when it is considered, meaning it's either one or the other, and that's why I needed both. It's either roasted and not raw. It's not raw. You have to say like seared, or I don't know how you say it exactly. It's like lightly roasted, or it's slightly roasted and not fully roasted. You understand? So that's why you needed this pasuk in order to have it extra. And then obviously we'll continue from there.